to where we've got one final sponsor to approve the logo, and then it goes out to be wrapped, fully wrapped, both outside, inside the truck as well. All of those sponsors will receive full recognition on the outside, the inside of the trailer, on the truck. And we hope to have the truck and trailer on the road by 1st of January, mid-January at the latest. And we'll have a campaign online that will show you how to check it out, as far as an online form to request it, and then we'll review your request. Just a reminder, no birthday parties for our education trailer nor our Mini X. And we are in the process too of hiring a part-time driver to drive our equipment around the state along with our liaisons. So if you've got some sort of educational event, training event, would encourage at least 50 people or more, because, you know, it does cost to drive this trailer. We do have a 350 that we'll be pulling that with, but nevertheless, there is a cost involved as far as, you know, for us to manage it. It is free to those that, you know, want us to bring it out to them. And we appreciate the support of all our members, but that'll be forthcoming, and we're excited to bring it out and to educate all you folks and the public. So we're looking forward to it. Thanks.
And do you have a tentative schedule of where it's going to be through the fall, or?
We do not have anyone that has scheduled it yet, but the trailer itself, everything is housed at our event center there in Greensboro. We have purchased and had built a 12 by 20 building that houses our mini excavator. So everything will be centrally located there in Greensboro, and our driver will pick up the equipment and head out from Greensboro. So good central location. So if we're going east or going west, going north or going south, you know, we're centrally located.
Y'all plan like a ribbon cutting or anything?
That's a good idea. I think we should do that with our sponsors.
Be great if
Absolutely.
we could tie that into the board meeting in Greensboro.
Yeah,
third week of
yeah.
January. That would be the
Great.
event center.
Good, good.
Do it right there.
That's why you get paid the big bucks, right, Jason? Yeah.
30,000 foot thing.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely a ribbon cutting at our board meeting, annual. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
New business is the location of our 2024 UCC meeting. January Greensboro, March Raleigh. May is the South Carolina, North Carolina joint conference. And we don't have any updated information on that right now.
I made a call to, well, I've sent an email to Russell Tate, and it was brought to my attention, the save the date was, let me show you guys.
We got an extra date on that.
Yeah. And that's not the case. It is May 1 through May 3. And it is in Charleston. I made a call to Kevin Comalander, whom Russell works for with Collier's Engineering. Have not received a response back as of yet.
So, and they changed their minds about having the extra day. I know they were going to put extra day in it.
Really?
Yes.
I don't recall them.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I think that I know that Georgia had some conversation. Georgia has like an extra day,
Okay.
and I don't know if that's why or not. But yeah, you may want to double check on that. But
Was that brought up at our conference? I don't recall hearing that, but maybe I missed it.
I was there, it came up.
Okay.
I don't remember when that was at down there, but it's been
All righty.
2 months ago, maybe.
Yeah. Oh. So that's kind of where we're at. We know the dates are locked in, and I assume once, you know, hopefully by February, they'll have everything up and rolling, and everything should be online the same way we, you know, housed it here in North Carolina.
Live meeting will be in Charlotte.
Charlotte Water has, offered to host that, so we'll be having it at their new Charlotte Water facility. It's a really nice facility that they have there in our local Mecklenburg. UCC meeting has been there, the last couple of months, and, they offered to host it when we met at the end of September, so that's where that'll be in July.
In September, we talked about moving it from Wilmington to Jacksonville. And I had different feedback on it. I would like to find out what we would like to do there. I know with Jacksonville, I have several people that have contacted me and told me that they would like to come to it, but they won't go to Wilmington because of the construction that's there from several of the surrounding counties. That's the only one that we have on the east side of the state. So I'm asking, could we change that one to the Jacksonville area? I have a company that is willing to host it.
I'm fine with that.
And there's accommodations there. I mean, the hotels are nice. And
Wilmington, we usually use Piedmont facility, right?
Mhm.
So we haven't eliminated Piedmont. It looks like we have.
Let's see, Greensboro will be at our event center, Dominion, Raleigh, Charlotte. I think typically we've kind of done that at Piedmont, but, City of Charlotte was willing to step up.
That's all I'm getting at. You just eliminated both Piedmont facilities. That's all. I just want to bring it up here.
So I'm confused about as far as, the guys driving in from Jacksonville to Wilmington. What's that about again?
It's not from Jacksonville. It's like Greenville and the surrounding counties. They're having a lot of issue driving to Wilmington through all the construction that's going on down there.
I'm from Wilmington, it's not that bad.
Have better
There's a lot of stuff going on, but they just opened up the, I guess, bypass going to Rexville Beach, right off of 140. So that just opened up about a month ago. But I mean, there's a lot of construction, but day to day, it's not that bad. We go to Jacksonville every day, and it's no big deal.
Just leave it in Wilmington.
Well, no, I mean, I think the whole point of this, right, is that we're trying to incorporate other utilities and expand instead of just always sticking with the same old locations and the same people hosting it. So in Jacksonville, Onslow Water has offered to host it, and it's about expanding and going into different areas. Ever since I've been a part of this or going to UCC meetings, it's always been in the same kind of locations. Even for Charlotte for 3 years until the last couple of months, we were meeting only at Piedmont. And so I think what we're hoping to achieve here is, at least for a little bit, you know, incorporating other utilities, incorporating other businesses that would be willing to host and be a part of this. So.
Quick question. Who's our Onslow contact when you're no longer?
Pardon me?
Who's our Onslow contact when you're no longer on the group?
I will be through the end of 24.
Got it. Good. Good news.
So
I'm down for that.
First move it.
okay, and then November we'll be back here.
Is there anyone else willing here in this area to possibly step up or have facilities?
Marcy?
We went to Hickory in the past. Is that Western enough? I'm just saying, is that west enough? You know,
I like having the ash.
Treacherous fucking.
hey, if Sanders said.
Sounds like that sound.
That's a done deal.
Yes, I figured I gave it.
Sandra speaks.
I was trying to.
Any other new business that you need to discuss?
Still, since I will be moving up to chair in July of next year, we are, after the first of the year, gonna start looking at places to host the 2025 conference. So, if anybody has ideas or input on that, please come talk to me, as, our conference planning committee will start, doing site visits and gathering information, after the first of the year.
I do not want to go back to Harris. Nothing against Harris, just that we did the last 2 years.
Western Center.
We just gotta find somewhere that has, enough hotels and other activities, you know, for networking events and things like that, so,
One of the better things, this is just thinking that, not saying anything about Harris, one of the things that Harris brought us is we're able to put the patrons in that hotel. Some of the places you go, like if it's a beach location or somewhere, that they're choosing other hotels. And that, I don't know how many of you remember, that cost us dearly with Great Wolf Lodge.
You didn't meet a room, because you didn't meet the room
But
minimum.
yeah, had to go twice.
That's an issue.
Just something to think about when you plan locations.
I'm gonna wait and give my report, with the local UCC. We'll go to coach. Secretary Sean Kelly. Treasurer Sandra.
Okay, at this time, we have $15,146.35 in our account. Having said that, it was brought to my attention that, at our conference, the team voted to donate as a gift to Eric Prince, $500 for teaching our locator class, which has always been a success. The information failed to get back to me, and I didn't write the check. So what I need to do today is get it in the meeting minutes, that we agreed that we're gonna give him $500. And I certainly don't have a problem with it. He's very dedicated, and we want him to continue to come to our conference. That locator class has always been a huge success.
That draws a lot of people.
Well, back in 2012 and 2014, we were at the Great Wolf Lodge. In 2012, we would not have met the money to pay for that conference if we had not had a locator class that year.
And I know in the past, we have had to pay the room for the locator instructor. Is that correct, Jim?
We did, I can't remember if we did that for him or not.
We did for Eric. We did for the guy that came from Oklahoma several years.
Yeah, I believe that's right.
And, Eric paid his room.
He was a
Didn't give
vendor,
him
he was a
anything.
vendor, he
Yeah.
paid for everything.
So, I'm all for it. I was back then, and I still am.
The consensus of everybody here, I will get in touch with him and see that he gets a personal check, $500. It's my report.
Do we know if South Carolina is gonna do a locator training?
I can't recall, I don't remember.
Yeah,
Move on to reports. Anyone here from the NCDOT? Like to give a report?
I don't have really a report. It's got a lot of work with the I-26 connectors starting starting to let out after the first of the year, so. There'll be a lot of construction coming here in the next few years.
When does I-40 start? Cause I'm thinking somebody in the room, women to,
That's part of the connector project.
the 8 lane.
That will be, I think they're supposed to let that one in, June, that section. So there'll be about, from spring to summer, they'll be letting the 3 projects from 40 to Haywood Road. And then they're gonna let the big project, the, connector project, right there at Westgate, goes all the way to UNCA. But it'll be a design build project, so whoever gets the contract will have to do the design first, so it'll be probably a year after that before they start any actual work.
But I-40, you said was going from, I know another big you said from like Harmon's Den all the way to Wilmington was going 8 lane.
I don't know about that one.
That's another UCC meeting.
Yeah, if it was Harmon's Den, that'd be Division 14. Bob Gold.
Basically Murphy the man, 8 lane. I-40. Thank you. I need to pause for a minute. I apologize. Self-introduction, I did not cover the folks online. We do that.
Sure.
Court Bennett with ITS Online.
Good morning, Tammy Groves, North Carolina 811.
Mark Worth, Dominion Energy.
Joel Calabrese, P&G, Damage Prevention.
Tom Barrett, Surveying and Mapping.
Ryan Neighbors, Piedmont Natural Gas.
Daryl Cap, City of Wilson.
I think we have Jim Collins, Piedmont Natural Gas, Duke Energy. And,
I'll come with both the meeting.
okay.
Troy Allison, Dominion Energy.
And Todd Coleman. You said Dominion.
Todd Coleman, Dominion Energy.
Thank you, Todd.
Thank you. Ann, give your report.
All right. Well, here we are in November. Just seems like we were just here a couple months ago, right? And I don't know if you all remember, but last year we highlighted Richard Walsh as one of our MVPs. And I asked him a little earlier, did he have his challenge coin? Do you have your challenge coin?
I do.
Show everybody your challenge coin.
He ain't gonna buy my drinks today, does he?
He doesn't have to buy drinks.
I still have it. It's original container.
There you go, Safety Sam. So, hey, just want to remind everybody, if you know someone that you really feel like is a most valuable professional, you can go on to our NC811 website, nc811.org, and you can nominate someone. So we would highly encourage you, if there's someone that has gone over and above, Richard was one of those, we would certainly like to highlight them. And it is located out under our education section, and under the safety and partner, you'll see all the links there. So we'd encourage you to do that. Well, just want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. Here it is. Next week, we will be enjoying some time with our families, hopefully some time off. Last weekend, I actually spent a little bit of pre-time. And Friday, I was in the ocean enjoying the water. The next day, it was wintertime. So who knows? Wherever you're at, you may have some really warm weather. So happy Thanksgiving. I just want to kind of keep you in the loop of what's going on for November. Of course, we celebrated Veterans Day last Friday, and so thank you for anyone that's in the room that has served. Thank you for all your service. We highly acknowledge you and appreciate you. Tomorrow, we will be out at the event center at NC 811 at our conference center. We'll be handling the North Carolina Locate Resolution Partnership Committee. Lewis is very much a part of that. All of our top 5 members, Dan Baer with Duke Energy, he represents that and manages that meeting. So we want to encourage those folks that participate, or if you're interested in coming out, we really are looking at a lot of data, looking at reducing updates in the system, looking at damages, looking at why damages are being caused, digging really granular down into the data. Lewis has been doing a lot of that. Lewis, anything you want to share on the LRPC?
Yeah, I mean, what we're really trying to do now is better understand the damages. So we get that dirt information in there every month. We're able to pull it out from the previous month by county, trend it on damages per thousand, start to look at how that's moving. But also we can get down into the weeds and find out what kind of work was happening that was most likely creating damages. And one of the things we're looking at now is if there was a ticket, which most of the damages that that are reported to us do have a ticket associated with it. We're looking back at all of the original tickets that were associated with a damage to see if there were 3-hour notices, were they updates, what was the work type? So we're going to start really tearing into a lot of detail about damages that were associated to an original ticket. So that's going to be a new focus that we'll talk about, but it is a great opportunity to hear about what we do with data, and it will be also Teams as well.
Yes, we will have that as a Teams meeting. You can go out to our calendar, actually this is housed on the NC UCC calendar, and you can join online with us tomorrow if you can't make the drive. All right, so just a quick reminder, with Thanksgiving, we are closed on the 23rd, and the 24th we're open, but that is still, just a reminder, it is not part of the 3 working day notice. So please plan according, and we'll be certainly taking the tickets on Friday, but it is not a part of that 3-day notice. All right, so we'll dig in and kind of take a look at where we landed from October with our locate request. 12.6% increase compared to the same time last year. I know there's, certainly yesterday I spent an hour and a half just talking to one of my liaisons about all of the work out east and how everything has picked up in these, last couple months. So I know everybody's busy. We're trying to figure out ways to help you all. But we also want you to help yourself. So we appreciate y'all being here today. Hopefully you'll network with someone, get a phone number, get a contact to relieve some of these tickets in the system. As you see here, that 12.6% increase landed at 259,285 tickets. That's a lot of tickets in the system. When we look at the updates, out of all of those tickets, almost 30% of that was updates. So for October, we landed at 29.3%. The month before, we were 29.2%. And Lewis, correct me if I'm wrong, are we around 31% year to date, or 32, or around 30?
Around, we're talking about updates.
Yeah, year
It's
to date.
actually right under 30, like 29
Okay,
or something,
gotcha.
but that's statewide. So
Yeah. Mhm.
definitely there's areas that are hitting more than that, And if you look at that number, I mean, that's 30,000 extra tickets thrown into that mix.
Yeah.
In 1 month. So,
So that being said, probably the larger amount of the updates are the large projects that's going on. I know there's states out there that has large project tickets. Do they have the amount of updates that we have? Do Anybody know, or
So-
that drop their update?
Well, the way a large project ticket works, like in Georgia, for example, is, you know, you create one ticket and then it's up to everybody to coordinate through the project. And it hasn't exactly moved smoothly. They've been doing it for a long time. So we've been kind of watching down there. We don't have a law that allows for a large project ticket right now, so every bit of it does have to be bite-sized. There are some things we might be able to do with the law to help load balance, work balance, some of this for the locators especially. Right now, when we create a ticket, that's it. Doesn't matter when the work's gonna take place. It's 3 days is what you have from the time that ticket comes out. To hinge that onto the work date would actually allow more time possibly for the locators. And we've seen some success with that, lowering the amount of updates in that. In Alabama was one of the states. So there's some things that we're looking at, but unfortunately, we don't have a large project capacity.
Just the idea, you know, these states that do have the large projects, I'm just curious if they struggle with updates, the 30% updates like, you know, we do in South Carolina.
Actually, Tennessee it was funny because when they were at a meeting and they were proud of the fact that they had just gotten their updates down to 30%. So this is what I'm trying to say is when we started looking at this 12 years ago, we weren't really happy with 20%. We felt like maybe that was high. We polled everybody around the states and it was actually right in the pocket, around 20%. Because I remember Doc, he wasn't too happy, but he felt, well, I should don't be like about 10% or something, but it's not. And then over time, it just started to creep up. And some of those are legitimate long projects, you know, bridge work, DFT work, large scale projects. But some of it's just waste. That's what we're trying to get rid of at the LRPC, which by talking about it and speaking to companies and getting them to understand not to update tickets after the work's been done. If you're going to suspend your work, don't update through that break. Don't create tickets until you have your permit in hand, you're ready to actually break ground and do work. It may be that the new law changes it a little bit to where it becomes something that can be enforceable. If you don't work during the time you're saying you're going to, but that's not the case right now. All you have to do is have an intent to excavate, and that's good enough. But this is only going to get, you know, to chime in on this, we've been communicating with the state and the broadband IT folks to try to get a handle on the work that's about to truly descend. They've got 24 providers that have been granted or in the process of being granted the work for these private, you know, to get rural broadband, to get it established in those communities. 24 providers, they have 128 individual projects and 102 of those are already contracted right now. So they're in the design phase. And we can see where they are on a map that shows you the counties and you can actually see who's been awarded them as well. We were pleading with them to help us to try to maybe convince those folks to attend UCCs, take Pipes Plus training, potentially white line. We've been really trying to find out what we can do. The challenge is going to be that those are all private infrastructure builds. And telecom, you know, typically has been a little tight-lipped about where they're going because of the competitive nature of the whole thing. So we're hoping to get in front with those communities and let them know what's coming their way, especially if we can get a sense of the time frame. But basically, all this has to be done by the end of 2026. So you got a 2-year window where we're going to get hammered. And there is the option to potentially get an extra year extension that people can file for. But most folks are going to be, you know, going full tilt boogie for the next 2 years. On top of stuff like this, we're already getting these increases. So just buckle up, as I said.
So some of the conversation that Lewis and I have had is once he kind of nails down what the IT department is willing to allow for those grants, then hopefully we can hold maybe a couple summits around the state, maybe in each region, just to address those type of telco projects. But we don't want to put the cart before the horse. We want to make sure what are they, you know, what type of items are they putting, out there for these telco companies, and if they're going to require them to take Pipes Plus training. So we want to have all our information up front so that when we do schedule these meetings, then they clearly know what the expectations are.
Yeah, and they're looking to coordinate one with the 24 providers beginning of January.
Oh, nice.
So myself, Ariane with Google Fiber, Chris Brutz with USIC will be in front of them along with representatives from the state to talk about what our asks are, what they're willing to do, and to try to impress on them the importance of making sure everybody's trained when they come in, especially the subs, because we know those people that are going to be at the meeting won't be the ones creating the tickets. So we want to communicate to them, get the Pipes Plus training down there, let them understand about controlling the flow of those tickets to match actual work. I know Ralph mentioned some struggles that they're having out there. And those are challenges because if they're going to call in 3 subdivisions, but only work 1, and then they tell you have to get those other 2 done, that's unrealistic. That's where these communications have to happen between the excavators and the locators in the field. And there needs to be more, the ticket's only the beginning. There needs to be more coordination through that. So
we'll keep you in the loop on that. When you look at our year-to-date numbers, we are up 6.7% increase. And you can see our numbers for year-to-date so far, 2,276,908 tickets. A lot of tickets that have been floating through the system. So when we look at our transmissions, they're up 8.9%. Month to date for October was 1,355,717. So you can see lots of transmissions that are going out. We still are around an average of about 5.3 transmissions per ticket. Year to date, 5.4%. And we are now up through the end of October at 12,120,683. So a lot of transmissions flying through the air. And just want to remind you that these meetings are more important than ever, just to communicate with one another. As Lewis was referring to the damages, just to kind of give you a snapshot of where we ended up for October, there was a total of 1,386 damages that were reported. And typically you can see that Mecklenburg and Wake are usually pretty close, neck and neck. Mecklenburg 202, Wake 235. Of course, you can see where our other damages are occurring over in, let's see, Durham, Orange County, Guilford. So you can kind of see here, Cumberland. And when we look at, where a lot of these projects are at, that's where we're seeing, these damages occur when they're just overloaded. And as I talk to locators, whether it be, the large contract locators, I know they're supplementing from other counties. I know Alamance being one of them. I know that's being supplemented. So there's just a lot of shifting around to be able to handle the volume. Just talking just briefly with Jeremy, it's good to hear him that he's kind of got things under control here for locates. So please more than ever communicate so that we can relieve some of these damages in the system. This report, though it doesn't mean a whole lot, it just kind of gives you a visual of, our damages, where it was trending from 2022 to 2023. Beginning in January, we're going to start providing you some additional data. We're going to look at the number of tickets. We're going to look at the damages in each county. We're going to correlate the damage per 1,000 for tickets and the damage per 1,000 for transmission. So we're going to give you more meaningful data. Lewis, do you want to?
I mean, you can look at this, and if you were to put those lines side by side to show you the 2022, 2023, obviously the blue line is 2023.
There we see.
So starting in June, it's exceeding the numbers of damages month after month after month. And so you can see that it's over the green line, then there's more damages that have been reported than the previous year. I mean, we started the year out above as well. And then we sort of looked like we had a little reprieve in April, where it started to look like it was trending the right way. But as you can see, it's moving up. And that last jump, that's a pretty big diversion. Normally, we would expect to see damages coming down this time of year as workloads and things like that, and coming into the fall and winter sort of slow down a little, but it's not slowing down, folks.
Not with the,
And with all this additional work coming in, damages are going to continue to be around and going up.
with that 12.6% increase. There.
It's
Uh-huh.
definitely not what you want to see, is the trend line going with that.
So what I did was, I know at each individual UCC meeting, we're pulling the top callers just so that we can spark that conversation with you and you can see who the top callers are placing those tickets. This one is the top, I just went ahead and added 11 since ANSCO was together there, but this is around the state. So as you see, the AT&T utility operations, they are their in-house folks that install a lot of their drops. RH&G, let's see, RH Underground, number 2, they are doing drops for Google. I mean, they also work for Duke, Lumos, Ting, placing conduit. And then if you add ANSCO together down here, they're actually number 3. That throws them up with 4,770. Prince Telecom, they're obviously doing work for Google. Utility Lines Construction, that's a Duke contractor. And once again, a lot of these utilities, they typically show up as far as the members at our Locate Resolution Partnership. Southeast Connections, they do work for both Dominion here and for Piedmont Natural Gas, obviously. National On Demand, Charter Spectrum, they're one. I know we have some conversations with them up here in this area. LKN Underground, Charter Spectrum for drops. Of course, ITS, we've got Cord Online. ITS is, multifaceted. They're working, for both Dominion, Charter Spectrum, Verizon, Google, so gas and on the fiber side. And of course, ANSCO. I know you guys are working for AT&T, and then you're doing some stuff for Lambert's for on the Brightspeed side, right? So just to kind of give you some information, Tim's, one of our members that comes to the LRPC every other month. And so what we do is we pull a report of all the update tickets. Tim has asked us to kind of drill down in and give us even specific information in regards to how they place their tickets for your job orders. Job order, right? Job number. And so that really helps him to take that list and to go back and have them to check them to see if they can be pulled out or if it's a good clean update. So those are the type things that we work one-on-one with some of our contractors, and then we provide that data back to those top 5 for them to manage with their contractors as well. And then we will take time to go on site and work with some of the contractors and determine what are your challenges. Why are you updating this ticket 85 times? And then sometimes we randomly hear, well, we're waiting on equipment, or they require us just to continue to update it because, that's just their policy. So we're trying to drill down and figure out the behavior so that we can eliminate some of that, reduce those locates. Locators can respond on time, cost the member less. I'm not getting, frustrated contractors calling that they can't get their tickets. So you see, it's a snowball effect. So with that kind of gives you the update for the top 10 callers. I had alluded to our tower lighting. That is one of the events that we do towards the end of the year. As you see, instead of lighting a tree, Durham lights a tower, a water tower. And with that, it is over in the American Tobacco campus. We partner with Dominion Energy. So we'll be out there November 29th, bringing in the holiday cheer, passing out our ornaments. So if you haven't picked up an ornament, please stop by and grab one. All right, with that is our team. And please, if there's anything we can do to help you, we are here to assist you in any way possible. All right. Any questions? Any comments? Otherwise, thank you.
Want to talk about the LRPC? Anything else?
Really, I mean, we kind of covered it. Tomorrow it'll be happening. You know, we encourage people to come and take part in it. Another effort we're trying to do as we talk about damages is talk to the top 5 and get them to give me 1 month of their damages. So tell me what you as a utility experienced as damages from the top 5, and I'll compare that to what we were notified of on the front door by the excavators who contacted us. I want to see how far off we are. I feel like we're not capturing all the damages. I mean, so just looking at the top 5 can give you some estimate, you know, how far off maybe we are. Is it a multiple of 2? Is it 3? Are we closer than that? I don't know. So again, this is what data does for us. Helps us to get some comparative information to try to see where we're going, ultimately to trend it, and even more ultimately to try to trend it down so you don't have that mouth opening up where damages were going down this time last year and they're going up this year. That's disturbing.
Damages, that is everything that's damaged, whether it be a phone drop, a water service line, a main or whatever, correct?
Yep. And the majority of that, as we look at it, are telecoms that are being cut. And the majority of the work that's being done is telecom that's cutting it. So that's, you know, that's an issue. And it's been an issue for years, and it's got to do with a lot of different things. But to me, my belief is that part of it is just the speed at which that fiber can go down now legitimately in a 3-day period where they expect it to be located. The technology surpasses what you guys can do on the field with locating. Unless you have a dedicated crew who's running around, and let's face it, you can't just pluck a locator off the street and drop them in a truck with a laptop and send them out. So.
Okay. Moving on, anyone here from North Carolina Utilities Commission? OSHA? Department of Labor? Electric or power companies? All right, Lewis.
So the regional partners, so CGA did just meet last week in Indianapolis, their committees. They did have a regional partner presentation with one of the states. For those of you who don't know, our regional partnership falls underneath State UCC as one of these reports. This does allow us to get best practices and things like that. The focus from the CGA right now has been on late locates and inaccurate locates. So there was a lot of discussion about, from the data perspective, what the dirt shows about that. They're looking to get white papers of how utilities have managed to reduce the locate damages, reduce damages as a result of no locates. So we're trying to tell some positive stories. I have your Unwassa story on tap this year, finally, for the CGA, if they select my presentation, to talk about what happened with the gas installation down there. And so what else is going on at the CGA from an educational standpoint?
We are working on some, we're taking some of the old videos and kind of updating them and bringing them, into that. Also, I guess, I've spoken to some of the pipeline operators, and not only top of CGA, but FNCA, which is our one calls, facility notification
Facility
centers
Centers Association.
Association. Okay, so it's one call, folks.
Have a lot of acronyms in this industry.
One of the discussions we had week before last was looking at new learning management systems. And so what we have, Steve and I are looking at is creating some portals for like the pipeline operators, where Utility Commission is asking you to do more to educate. I spent some time with one of the municipal, gas operators. And so they're wanting to, or they're being required to educate as much as they can, but to ask, what do you know beforehand? Educate, and then test after. So we're looking if we can find a new learning management system, or hopefully maybe use the one we have, then we might give you access to an area on our portal. So when you need to educate folks, you could basically be a train the trainer. You would use our new Pipes Plus training that we're in the process of updating. You could bring all your folks in. You could train them. They would have a QR code that they would scan, and it would take them online to take the test. So, and then you would have all the documentation on the back end, their sign in, their scores, the questions, so that's something that we're working on. And then that's just something that we talked about on the national side too. So we're doing some research on our end. Our goal is to try to have some of that maybe by the end of the first quarter, maybe a little sooner, but all the stars got to line up. But that's definitely something that we're working on for, and I've heard that from the pipeline operators, but I'd encourage any large company that maybe does continual training throughout the year. We would love to be able to work with you, because we're only a staff of 5. If we can create that pyramid effect, one person help the other, and now we've reached the masses, but we need your help. So that'll be forthcoming.
Thank you. Anyone here from engineering and design? Equipment manufacturers?
Be on the Vermeer side of vacuum excavators, horizontal directional drills, plows, trenchers. Inventory's improving. So lead times are coming down some. Really all I got.
Is that like a year, 6 months?
Well, I'd say an example would be 2220 drill, which is a medium-sized drill, was around 15 months, probably 3 or 4 months ago, and they're down nearly half that right now. So there's been a lot of effort to improve the throughput, to get the equipment out. I don't think we really see things slowing down, which is impacting inventory being available, but that's the other side of it. So I think the efforts to get more equipment out are starting to really show up, and it's all bouncing back from COVID impact.
Excavators and contractors.
We did third quarter, not only in North Carolina, but in the company, we posted record numbers. And October, and I don't know if it's just the weather, has been the same. We are well over everything and just kind of manufacturing. We didn't see a big slowdown in 2020, 2021 with the production of our trucks, but we are really, really running into problems now. Whether it's a Peterbilt, we've even switched over to Western Stars now because we can't get parts. It could be a relay switch. I got a truck that's just sitting there over a $12 part. We can't fix it, so. But again, it's throughout the Carolinas. We're slammed everywhere. I take phone calls from Texas, say, do you have anybody to come help?
The other?
I'm with SRNR, and same thing, that we're getting calls from, like you said, Texas, Florida. We're located in Wilmington, North Carolina, but we're doing work from here to Texas to Detroit now that 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we wouldn't have done. And, now people are like, you got a truck, you can get here, we'll pay you extra money for the load. And it's, stretching everybody, very thin. Getting trucks has been an issue for us. It's either buy a used truck that is no good, or you're gonna wait a little bit to get a brand new truck. And I think our last truck was right around $500,000 for a vacuum truck. Same truck now was going for about $650 the last time we looked at it. I think over the last few months, those truck prices have gone down. So, that has been a good thing for us. But, again, finding the parts, like you said, a $12 part, keeping a $500,000 truck working really does affect you.
What else? Okay. Anyone here from the insurance? Locator and locate companies. Gas companies.
Hey, Rob.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, USIC, everything's pretty much business as normal up here.
How's y'all's head count?
Head counts up here. You got 13 in your group. So he's got 11, I've got 14.
That's really fast.
They're wanting us to add about 2 to 3 more each group, but the way the volume is up here right now, we're managing with what we got, so.
Can you speak on that anywhere else?
Oh, you're talking about east?
Yeah.
Don't know much about what's going on down that way. I know that last time I checked and everything I keep hearing from them is the fiber projects are killing them right now. So that's the biggest struggle.
Seems like good enough time to talk about this, Annie, the training that's, working with the curriculum board, Rowan Cabarrus Community College, trying to kick off some, locator training. So it's, we have a curriculum meeting on the 20th, but I got one for a separate meeting because I told them on the update. So, it has, the code, the course code is TCC 102. The locate course been added to both construction management and electrical systems as an elective course for now. Okay, so looks like that course is going to kick off. Slow the process a little bit. So fall 2024 is peak for possibly even spring of 25. But the good part about it is if it does well, I'm talking to them about creating a certificate program, a 12-hour one semester where we include like some electrical training, some GIS type stuff like that. We'd have to develop it where, within a couple months, locator could have a good head start and, jump straight onto the field, hopefully. Because you hit on it earlier, you can't just take a locator off the street, hand him a laptop and locate it, and that's the problem.
And if you're good, you're gonna get poached.
Yeah.
And that goes back and forth. I mean, all the different companies are doing it. As soon as you're good, hey, I'll give you a couple more dollars an hour. Come on over here.
And I can actually see like companies like USIC or Southern Cross or anybody, maybe even doing a job fair and offering these people a position when they get done.
They do job fairs. I think USIC have that's good. We're looking at 150 people or something like that.
They do job fairs quite a bit.
Yeah.
So what an advantage it might be to have someone, with a little head start or even a certificate.
Yeah, walking in the door.
Right.
So, and to add to that point, I mean, we do a lot of training with our Pipes Plus at all the electrical lineman programs, and Howard and I were speaking yesterday. These folks are already, as soon as they get out, they're already lined up to go to work. So yeah, I mean, that would be a perfect, alignment with some of these companies.
And to that note, our committee has talked about making a donation towards some equipment. They purchased a couple pieces of equipment, but so it's substandard. They didn't realize it. So the donation from us would help tremendously. And we could help direct them on that stuff.
And we've looked at potentially providing a scholarship to, you know, maybe any of the community colleges around North Carolina, whether it be heavy equipment operator or this locate program, you know, any of those. So that's on our radar for 2024.
Well, so me, if you can get it rolling, get it started at one, others will pick it up.
Yeah, for sure. And NUCA has a scholarship program.
They do.
Does NOLCA have one? I don't think they
Not to
do.
my
right?
knowledge.
Okay.
No.
I forget what.
That's
NUCA is.
exciting.
Yeah,
Like you
that is-
said, if
that's
we can
super
just
awesome.
get one community college
Just to
to
get-
embrace it.
Right.
And then coordinate with all of these, you know, locate companies. I mean, you gotta find a pool to pull for them, you know?
Yeah, they may even donate. I mean, the companies will probably donate that equipment and everything, just especially if they see that as a feeder to
Mhm.
getting them much needed, you know, educated folks here.
Yeah, speaking of people like Eric Prince, you know, who would come out for a day
Mhm.
with all, he's got the ground penetrating radar, everything, and it'll be a huge advantage to.
So Jason, what do you envision like the cost of the program? If someone
So
wanted
it's
to,
one semester elective if you're a student, so it's in a STAR, you know, very cost effective. But, you know, a certificate might cost you $800.
yeah, say anything under $1,000, and that's a pretty cheap investment.
You're
to-
talking about 12 credit hours at a community
Yeah.
college, you know, that's what it takes to be the certificate program.
Nice.
So,
Anyone else? Okay, gas companies, gas pipelines.
Would you like a damage report at this point?
Sure.
Okay, for the state of North Carolina, damage report in the gas facilities. There was a increase in damages from September. September had 185 damages to the gas facilities. October increased to 234 gas damages. There's 3 root causes that have remained the same. They're exactly in the same order. The top 3 were excavator failed to maintain clearance after verifying marks. Locator errors was second, and no notification to the one call center was third. And both months, the exact same top 3 root causes. Good news, bad news on the overall DPT. I'll start with the bad news. The bad news, September was only 2.05 DPT. And this month in October, it increased to 2.13. But the good news in that is the previous 2 years were still higher for the full year than it currently is in September. So we still have hope to stay below the previous 2 years. Last year in 22, it was 2.17, and the year before was 2.30. That's obviously we're quite a bit down from that 2.30 at the 2.13 currently. So if we really try, I think we can stay below last year's total of 2.17. It's going to take some good effort, though. Any questions for me?
Hey, Joel, this is Jim. I kind of want to add, I took a look at our graph, similar to what Ann, you were showing earlier with the damages for 2023 and 2022. Our trend almost mirrors that exactly. Last year, in August, we started dropping as far as number of damages goes. And this month, we're on a steady incline, almost matches your blue line exactly. October, we had the most damage we had by month throughout the whole year. So
Wow.
kind of a unsettling trend. Typically this time of year, we're starting to drop in damages, but we continue to rise. So hopefully November, December, you know, with the holidays, we'll start seeing some decrease there. But yeah, our graph is almost matching yours exactly.
Wow.
Thank you, Jim.
Yep.
Yeah, the scary part about this all fiber thing to me is that they have a 2-year window to try to knock out an incredible amount of installation. And, you know, depending on how it goes, they could be disrupting communities, they could be cutting and slashing, and sometimes we've seen this occur where, they come in and, 5 or 6 cuts in a row, where the city has to shut them down. You've been in there, so you've seen that. And it's gonna be, like I said, with 24 different providers stepping up, and then whoever they're gonna bring in, bore crews and rigs on 128 projects. They're all gonna have to get done within the next 2 years. So I hope that, I'd love to see that trend come down. Obviously, CGA is looking to reduce damages by 50% in 5 years. Sounds glorious. I don't see it happening. Realistically, I mean, if we can take little bites out of it and chip it down, or at least get it back to flat or wherever we were, I would be, in face of what we're getting ready to deal with, I would be okay with that. We're not going to get to 0, and I doubt we're going to get to 50%. And like I said, that last line going up with October as the other ones coming down from last year is not a pretty sight.
You had the warmest, driest weather deep into the fall that you've had in years. We're working in this year.
You mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure. I don't remember last year did we have a wet October at all? Or did
Yeah.
Not that fall, yeah.
This is unheard of right now.
Yeah, it's real dry.
Gather roll and then let up from the summer. So.
Yeah.
Anyone else from gas companies, pipeline? Okay, move on to oil and oil pipeline companies. Private water. Public works and municipalities. Tim, did you get your guy from railroad to come today? Railroad? Cable TV and telecommunications.
Nothing to report.
Emergency services. Local UCCs.
Everybody else like fiber to get going on. They're calling in neighborhoods at a time like that. But there's sending crews out, the way it's been working like that, DOT and I'm nailed up for a little while. Kind of slowed things down a little bit for us. They released a bunch of it, so they're going hard at it. Union County.
Give one on White County. White County, just had their first contractor breakfast since 2019. Justice Everett with ABE Utilities, sponsored us over at the North Carolina State University Club. And, it was you don't know how to plan because you haven't had a meeting like that since 2019. But I felt like it went very well. Felt very well attended. We had our last meeting, September 26th, of this year. We will not meet anymore until January, the 30th of 2024, simply because our meeting dates fall on Thanksgiving and Christmas. So, our attendance, it varies. This thing do virtual, some of them do virtual. But then if we have a meal, we have a better attendance. But we've had some good conversations and worked out some issues that called up in the meeting. So I would encourage anybody that's in Wake County, we're going to meet again, like I said, in January, and I believe the city of Raleigh's going to buy lunch. That's what I have.
And I'll report on the Onslow. We had our damage prevention breakfast last month as well, and we had a think right at 190 people to show up. Ann was there, and she spoke, and Willis didn't get his sausage that morning. But, with our UCC, I'm being called also by some people that are not in my UCC in other counties. And what I'm hearing from them is they've got small companies and they're having trouble because they have one or two locators keeping up with all these tickets. And, said there was tickets called in and 3-hour notices. What is the protocol after a 3-hour notice is called in? If they can't get to it still, and the contractor goes out and works and hits something, ahead of them. And what is the law say with that, Lewis?
Well, I mean, the law it just asks for the different folks to do certain things. So the excavators are required to request that 3-hour notice. They're required to wait. We certainly ask that they can give us a second call. We will retransmit the 3-hour. We won't do another one. But beyond that, excavators are allowed to proceed with care after that if they have not received a response from the utility. As far as what happens in the courtroom, or with the claim, we can't speak to that. I don't know. That's individually, that's whatever y'all experience. But that is what the excavators are allowed to do. So the expectation is the operators must respond within 3 full working days. I will tell you, based on some national information, and it's in the DIRT report too, we looked at positive response in 5 different states, and to try to see if you're an excavator and your plan is to go to work 3 working days from now and you make the call, what is the chance that you're actually going to be able to work on time? What's the chance that every one of those members is going to have responded accurately to what you've done, not screened the ticket and then created a 3-hour situation, or said it was clear when it wasn't, or said it was marked when it wasn't? It's about a coin toss. It's 50% of the time an excavator standing out there unable to start work. So when you put it in perspective like that, and you start to wonder why people lose faith in the system or the process, or we see, no call damages occur because from companies and people who normally do call, you start to understand that we've got to tighten things have to tighten up. They just have to. And that's on both sides. So excavators need to call in truthfully what they're going to get done, and locators need to be prepared to deal with that. They need to communicate after those tickets come out, and be reasonable with each other. I've seen head-to-head situations occur out in the field. And that's typically where the boots hit the ground. This locator's pissed at that excavator because they're calling in all this stuff. The excavator's pissed at the locator because they're not out there getting it all done for them. And then it just blossoms from there. So we're trying to tamp that down as best we can. That's why we're trying to eliminate as much of the noise in the system as we can, and make this effective. Folks, the writing's on the wall. You can look at it and see what that trend looks like right now. I'm telling you, there's going to be a stupendous amount of activity. It's already started. I don't know how the entities are going to keep up.
They're not.
And they're not doing so
The
today.
folks that are calling me, they're like, look, we don't have a budget to go out and hire people. And, at some point, the contractor is gonna go ahead and work. There's no tickets there, or there's no marks on the ground. So, that is what I'm being asked about.
Yeah. Well, again, proceeding with care, if you're not getting the work done ahead of you, by the locators to polish you off. The problem is going to be if you start to hit stuff, even if you're not at fault because you've done everything the best you can and you followed the process, it's still not going to matter. Your project's going to be delayed. You're going to be blocking the street with emergency vehicles. If it's a gas line, it's going to be a bad taste in everybody's mouth, no matter what. So that's the unfortunate position the excavators are placed in. when they have to proceed. And proceeding with care in areas that are already heavily populated with infrastructure is tough.
On that note, like, do everything right, you follow the law, and damage something, unless it's a massive damage, it's probably gonna sit in front of some magistrate that has no idea the damage law. You got about 5 minutes to explain damage prevention to them. It's a coin toss whether you win or lose.
Well, that's the other thing. So if when the claims company comes knocking after you've cut something, and it could be a year, it could be 2 years later, depending. We encourage every excavator of every sort to document, have your video, have your film, take pictures using reference points to show where the marks were before you start digging or not, where they weren't. You know, all that stuff. If you see evidence of something above the ground, you must call for a 3-hour notice. I mean, that's what the law says of the excavator. And I'm really going to start tearing into these damages to understand how many of those tickets were 3-hour that resulted in a damage. Is there a high percentage of those? How many of them were updated multiple times? And then they hit something. You know, we're going to try to figure out some of the background on it. We've already done studies on the no-call damages to try to understand why those happen. And I'm telling you, part of that is a misunderstanding perhaps about depth or who was supposed to call, what the responsibilities were, or just frankly, a lack of trust that it's going to get done on time. I can't wait, is what the excavator says. You're holding me up. Right. And time is money. And maybe it's cheaper for me to go ahead and throw this down. And, you know, if I hit something, I'll deal with that then. But I got to get this stuff down. And that's all great until you have a durable
given
situation.
2 hours or 2 years to do the rest of this fiber bit.
They have a 2-year window.
Yeah.
With a possible 1-year extension.
Okay. Now that brings me to the next one, and it was a phone call that I got this morning. The locates are being called in before the permits are in. They're being updated several times. And he's called the contractor, and the contractor said, well, we're keeping the updates going because as soon as the permits come in, we're coming. That's the dirt in your system that you're talking.
That's part of the noise for sure. You know, and then when there's equipment delays or, you know, they have every intent to work, but they can't get the materials or the equipment on site. They have to wait for that. They should not be continuing the update ticket. But if you're the excavator, it's to a certain degree, it's a CYA that's been set up as well. Where I know if I don't have a valid ticket, you know, that's the claim company coming after you. So, you know, I get it on both sides of it. You know, you're trying to cover yourself legally in everything that you have. And especially if they're experiencing delays, I can see where excavators also will expand the scope of what they're asking for, thinking, well, if I don't get it over here, maybe you'll get my locates over in this and I can move my crew over there. And again, that just adds to the problem. We talked to NUCA about it. We talked to excavators about it. We beg and plead.
To add to Lewis's, so we're beginning to see more and more complaints come into the Underground Review Board. Last meeting, we had 29 cases, and out of those 29, we're seeing more contractors making complaints that, you know, locates were not performed on time. And so ultimately, you know, all we can do is look at, you know, what was before us, and, you know, was the ticket done on time? Was there a 3-hour? Some were, you know, no, they didn't respond in the 3 days, but yeah, they did within that 3-hour timetable. So, you know, one violation on one, but not a violation on the other. Couple of them, you know, we actually dismissed for lack of evidence. We're seeing electricians, and this has definitely been an issue too. And I, you know, ask that you keep a lookout in the field, especially in some of these smaller, dense neighborhoods. A lot of electricians are driving ground rods without locates. Guess what they're hitting? Gas lines. So, you know, we've had one particular contractor, and so we're, you know, hopefully Each time they're given, the first time a Pipes Plus training, unless they did hit a gas line, and that is automatic. You get Pipes Plus and a fine. And then the second's 1,500, and then the third is 25. So we keep up and track, was there a prior complaint? So is there history? And if there is, this one particular company ended up with over $7,000 in the last 2 meetings. We also, and this was brought up, I think the time before, and we actually went back to our attorney to determine if we grant a Pipes Plus training, maybe to a member. We've now decided that it is okay for that member or whomever the complaint was made against to require maybe someone else within their company to take the training. So it could be, maybe it's a member that it's coming from a contract locator. They can allow someone within that locate organization to take the training as long as that's documented. So we're making sure we're getting down to that granular to make sure maybe some of those changes are happening. So that came out, and then we had a resignation from one of the seats for the telco side. Let's see, that was vacated, and now the governor just approved, I think, Tim Williams with Charter Spectrum. So he will be new coming on. And the very last case that we heard of the day, we were not able to proceed with it because we did not have a quorum because of all the recusals, of some of these cases. So hopefully between him coming on, and then we have one more position on the, on the pipeline, liquid gas, that side. So there's someone that has applied, and so we're just waiting on the governor to approve that, and then we'll have a full slate. But anyway, we're seeing more and more complaints coming from the contractors. And that's pretty much it. And we'll meet again January 16th. Encourage you, if you want to come be a part of that. If not, you can dial in. We did have an issue last time, and so we allowed people to hop on the Teams meeting, but otherwise, please come in.
Any other local UCCs?
The last meeting for the year for Mecklenburg County will be Wednesday, November 29th. We will be meeting back at the Piedmont Natural Gas Training Facility on Yancey Road. And if you work in Mecklenburg County or Charlotte area, we would love to see you. Come join the discussion and be a part of the fun that is Charlotte.
You have excellent leadership in Mecklenburg, and obviously as well, with an excavator at the helm of that whole thing. So it just kind of goes to show you that we can all work together. Different stakeholders still have the same rights and and concerns and valid ones, but we need to work through all this stuff. It's just not gonna. This isn't gonna just go away. There's no them. It's all us. We're all in this together. So.
Anyone else have anything?
I'm gonna ask folks online.
Anyone else have anything online that they want to talk about? That being said, next meeting is at the NC 811 place in Greensboro in January. What is the date of that?
January 9th.
January 9th. See y'all there.